It's Frankie the Bull, live from Great American International Seafood Market in Palos Verdes with another edition of From the Case to the Plate. It's the holiday season, and holidays are a special time of year, especially for shellfish. Bivalves particularly, everybody thinks of those half-shell oysters for New Year's Eve, those half-shell oyster appetizers for Christmas Eve. Great American International Seafood Market, we carry a variety of oysters. Each oyster is unique. Each oyster has its own personality, its own flavor profile. Today we're featuring two oysters. This is the blonde from Carlsbad, California. This is the Luna oyster from Carlsbad, California. And this one is one of my favorites. This is a James River. James River is on Jersey, East Coast. It's a blue point. All intents and purposes, when you hear the term blue point, that's where it's coming from. James Rivers are phenomenal. If you're lucky, you're gonna get a little pea crab in here. Pea crabs are great. It's a little symbiotic. They're supposed to be very good luck, and I can tell you, they're very tasty. And then we also have our East Coast little necks. All of these can be consumed raw. Please bring in your tray, ask your fishmonger here at the market to shuck the oysters for you to take them home. A lot of times I get that question, how do you shuck an oyster? Or what do I use to shuck an oyster? Can I use a screwdriver to shuck an oyster? The answer to the screwdriver question is no. We don't shuck oysters with screwdrivers. You can shuck it with a knife, but you're probably gonna ruin it, and there's a really good chance that you're gonna cut your finger. So there are specially made knives just for oysters and clams. We sell them here at Great American International Seafood Market. Ask your fishmonger to point them out. Two different types. One you'll notice has a curved tip. This curved tip is primarily made for the harder shell oysters, where you have to pop them from the back. The straight oyster knife, this is for the French shuck, where you're gonna actually go in from the front of the oyster. And then of course you have your clam knife. Look at those beautiful little necks. They are briny, salty, tasty, meaty. Oh, one of my favorite. Our blue point here. See if we can French shuck this from the front. Important safety tip, always take a towel. Always use a towel and a rag to hold your oyster in case that knife slips. It's being a little difficult. In that case, you take the curved knife and just pop them from the back. Another question I always get about oysters is, how come I get shell? Well, when an oyster is shucked properly, there's actually no shell inside. When most people eat an oyster, they'll eat it this way. If you eat that, you're actually putting your lips on the shell. That's where the shell in your oyster is coming from. So the proper way to eat an oyster is actually from the top. And you kiss it. It's called just like kissing a mermaid. The Luna, the James River oyster is creamy right now, little bit of brine, big on flavor. The Luna, now this is a brittle shelled oyster. I just like popped it from the back. Bit of shell in there. It's cleaned right out. This one's gonna be just like the ocean. It's gonna taste like that salt water, spring, fresh. It's a lighter oyster, not as creamy, not as full as the James Rivers. A good balance. That oyster was probably perfect. With a little bit of cocktail sauce, maybe a little bit of horseradish. I could see a good contrast with the horseradish and that one. Now, our blonde oyster, once again, another brittle shelled oyster. The shells are brittle because they grow very quickly. The James Rivers actually grow a lot slower, and so they have a harder shell. This is a full, large oyster. You see the water in there. That's actually probably the most flavor of the oysters. So you don't want to drain these. This is probably going to take really well with some Tabasco sauce, or if you want to go the other way, you can go a little soy sauce on it. But it's going to be super briny, super fresh. Wow. It's got a lot of earth flavors to it, a lot of minerals in the back, good salt content. Oysters change daily here at Great American International Seafood Market. Come down, talk to your fishmonger. Ask about some of your favorites. The Kumamoto's, a real deep cup little oyster, a cushy, a kumai. Some of the favorites on your list, Malpacs. Ask your fishmonger to get them for you. Bring in your trays. Let us shuck your oysters for your holiday feast. This is Frankie the Bull with another edition of From the Case to the Plate, live from Great American International Seafood Market in Palos Verdes. Merry Christmas.